All right, folks, welcome to our special episode that we were hoping we wouldn't have to do one of these for quite many years down the road, but unfortunately, as you all know, the rock world was hit hard on Thursday when it was announced that one of the original members of Kiss, Mr. Ace Frehley, passed away at the age of 74. And so we thought we'd just kind of talk about Ace and our memories, and at the end, we'll list some of our favorite songs that Ace sang, and I'm going to turn it over to my partner in crime here, Mr. Chris Kiebzak, as he's going to start us off here with this special episode.
How you doing, Joe? Yeah, hey everybody. Yeah, Joe, it's you don't think that you're gonna wake up and hear news like that, and it hit really hard. This is by far the biggest celebrity death. I mean, Ozzy shook me, and I knew when it came time for, Kiss or Alice Cooper that it was really going to be an issue. And the Ace thing really struck me. You feel like you know the person in some way. Ace has been in my life for 33 years and I'm 37 years old. So it never waned, and he was always my favorite member in Kiss and yada yada yada. But the way that it's hitting the world, like it's almost the same as when Ozzy died. And when Ozzy died and the way the world reacted and the way the internet just shook and blew up. Um, Surprised the hell out of me, even for someone like Ozzy. And I'm seeing the same thing with Ace, and it's sort of refreshing to see that other people really put him as high up as he should be in the music chain. I mean, we all know Ace wasn't necessarily Jimmy Page or this guitar player that was either self-taught or book-taught and knew the was able to do the ins and outs of guitar. Ace was had the most feel and probably and almost definitely influenced more people than anybody to pick up a guitar or an instrument. And that's the one thing I'm seeing is everybody from being in the music world as a musician as well, like seeing everybody from drummers to bass players to singers all giving their story on how Ace influenced them. And it's really eye-opening to see. And the big thing with losing Ace is I think we forget, who do we go to for Kiss stuff now? Like, it's much comical stuff and maybe, oh, he really seems like he's not on his game this tour. All that shit aside, Ace was constantly touring from 2008 until now. He was constantly doing interviews. He was constantly putting out information or books or new Kiss stuff, whether it be drama or not. We always had Ace to still hold that Kiss world up, especially with Kiss calling it quits 2 years ago or a few years ago. So very disappointing and heartbreaking. And the one thing we can all learn from this is go see your idols and don't think that tomorrow is always going to come for anybody.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's for sure. I remember one memory that we had. I remember going to the Erie County Fair, and we got there really early. So if I remember right, that one we had to stay. It was a free show or something, right? And we,
yeah, we went with my brother too, remember?
yeah,
And yeah, it was a fair, it was a free show. We went during the day to the fair and walked around the fair like we normally do at situations like that. And yeah, it was a free show that was 2010 or 11,
10.
2011, maybe 10, yeah. And that was great. Well, the first time we seen Ace was so when Ace left Kiss in 2001 after the Australia and the Japan dates. Ace really went out of the limelight from then until 2008 when he came back with that Rocket Ride tour, which I'm actually wearing the shirt for right now. And they announced two shows at the Bears Den at the Seneca Niagara Casino, which, for those that don't know, is a very small, probably my favorite venue to see an artist. Very small stadium seating, 400 and something seats. Um, some bigger artists play there, smaller artists, comedians, musicians, magicians. But if you're lucky enough to have one of your favorite artists there, it's definitely a place to go check out. It's small little theater style. And Ace announced two shows there. Both sold out instantly. We've had to get both of our. I went to both shows. Me and you just went to the first night, and both sets were the same. But man, those shows were incredible. What are your memories from that show and seeing Ace at the Bears Den?
That was the first time I actually saw him in a solo setting.
Same here.
And actually, you were right. It was 2011 that he came to the fair.
Mhm.
Somehow I'm skipping a year in there, but
That's easy to
after a
confuse
while,
them.
all these shows run together. But
Yeah, no, I wasn't 100% sure either.
yeah. So I remember the Bears Den show was pretty cool. I mean, he played a lot of songs I wasn't really familiar with only at that point because I that was the first time I ever seen him solo. So I never knew, what to expect, what he was going to play or any of that. I never, you know. But you see, when I remember my prime area for Ace is like the first Frehley's Comet album. So that was what I was hoping to hear a lot more tracks from there. But obviously, he played a couple, but it wasn't nowhere near what I would have liked to see him play. And then he did a lot of Kiss, but he did a lot of songs that I'm not too familiar with at that time with his catalog. Obviously, after that show, you see it and then you hear these songs more and more. You go see them a few more times, and then these songs just grow on you even more. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it wasn't always, the greatest show on earth as far as you know, Ace performing wise, but he always gave it his best shot, and no matter what was going on, obviously as he got older, you know, voice always isn't always up to par or whatever have you. But I was looking back at some old video from the last show I saw, which was last year. I got to see him back in April in Rome, New York, and I'm so glad I have that video to look back on because it's the last time I ended up seeing him.
Yeah. Yeah, the last time I ended up seeing him, which oddly enough is the same venue we were just talking about, the Bears Den. Um, he played there for the first time since those 2008 shows. And no matter what, even if he was off like you just mentioned, or he was having a rough night, or his voice was a little, it was still always a rock and roll environment that you didn't get with other artists. And I think a big thing is because the fans and Ace and the connection that they have. I mean, Ace was always the rock and roll guy of Kiss, and he was I feel him along with Peter were the more of the human aspect, where Gene and Paul, even out of the makeup and their personas, sort of were their personas. They were a little intimidating and this and that. Ace and Peter really, especially with doing club tours and all that in the 80s and 90s. I mean, Ace constantly had a career with a big thanks for the guy that everyone gives a lot of shit to, but Eddie Trunk, who was one of Ace's best friends. And if it wasn't for Eddie Trunk going to, Megaforce Records, which again, weren't thinking about Ace Frehley, they were thinking about Metallica and Raven and Anvil. And here comes Eddie Trunk at 22 years old and says, Ace Frehley wants to come out with a solo career, and I really think you guys can benefit from signing him, and they did. And that's history. Ace had a very successful solo career for what it was because of that, more than any other member of Kiss, original or not. I mean, Ace was a huge part of that Headbangers Ball era, the MTV era. I mean, Ace is the lone rock star that sort of stayed that way through the entire years of Kiss, whether he was in it or not.
Yeah, and another
So
thing that people always bring up now, personally, I think he's got the second best solo album of all time
I'm
out of the four that were
78. Yeah,
released. Yeah, but
I feel the same, and I still
but
do feel that way.
yeah, but many people think that he made the best one of the four, which I can see the arguments on the point, no doubt about it.
Sure, sure.
And his was the highest selling of all four of them.
Yeah, yep, it was. But the huge thanks to New York Groove. But still, I mean, that song is
Yep.
still all over. hockey games and football games and New York benefits and New York accolade shows, and it's crazy and it's great. But yeah, it's just it's a sad way to think that, we won't be able to see Ace again. And you take for granted on how often some of these guys are on the road and by saying, oh, well, they'll come back or they'll come back around,
Mhm.
and yeah, with Ace, a huge, huge, huge hole is left in the music world. Clearly, probably more so than any other musician who has passed of recent times besides Ozzy. I mean, a lot of our heroes are dying, and it's sad, but at least we have all this stuff to remember and watch, and
Mhm.
you know, it's great. It's a good thing.
Put it in perspective, this is what a couple of my friends also noticed too. You can't always go by the great Facebook like you could back in 10, 15 years ago when you'd see all the fresh posts pop up in order and everything on your Facebook feed. But at the same time, it's been the same for like the last 10 years. When Eddie Van Halen passed away, I would say I would see like maybe 3 to 4 posts out of every 10 would be somebody, one of my friends mentioning him. But when Ace passed away here, man,
Oh
it
yeah.
was like 6 or 8 out of 10
Oh yeah,
easily,
easily, easy,
easily. So
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
telling you right there that Ace Frehley is just, if not more, popular as far as Eddie Van Halen, and everybody thinks he's the top throne on the guitar, but Ace Frehley, man, has influenced so many people, and he did it first. He was around first.
And I think that's why, I didn't even really post a long memorial thing yet. I probably will. But I've really been enjoying and sort of sinking into what everybody else is saying, because there are so many people that I didn't even know respected the guy
Yeah,
that are posting eulogies to him. And it's remarkable to see, and I can go on forever about that dude. But I like hearing what everybody else is saying and what they got from it, because I know what I got from it. So yeah.
yeah. So who's another legend?
And
But
doesn't it feel like, especially with Ace, who was such a larger than life thing, like, doesn't it feel like you're losing like a family member almost? Like I've lost a lot of family members in my midlife over the last 10, 15 years,
mhm,
and this feels the same. It feels the same. It might sound crazy to say that, but when you have something in your life for 32 years, it feels the same.
yeah. I mean,
Especially when you can go see them.
yeah. Even Bret Michaels guitarist Pete Everick posted on there just this morning. I remember seeing a post on there where he mentioned he's got Rip It Out showing on a player, and he goes, "This doesn't seem just doesn't seem really posted, like real as in he's gone." You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like
Right.
that's crazy. And
Well,
a lot of people are chiming in saying that they've been numb all weekend and all this, and yeah, I mean, when you lose somebody like this, it hits you hard. I mean, like you said, it just I never would have expected, all this to the way it's all gone down. I just never would have expected, like you said, you're shocked to see how many people had an association with Ace that you
yeah.
never would have imagined. But like you said, he was everywhere. He's played so many shows with so many different artists, and they all respected him.
Well, I think a big thing too, and we just seen it with the Charlie Sheen documentary, and when all that stuff 10 years ago happened with Charlie Sheen, he he was partying, doing drugs, and just saying it in the public, and in the people were like, no, come and tour, we want to see you. People like real. They relate to real. And Ace has always been real. If Ace was uh getting messed up and drinking at that time of his life when he did interviews and stuff, he did not try to hide it. Ace always laid it straight on the table,
Right, straight
and
shooter.
people loved that. And that is why he's so respected. And I don't mean, oh, they love, but Ace consistently put out records. He consistently cared about the fans. I mean, there was times where he was going, like I said, playing 400 person venues, but he loved to do it. It was in his blood. And yeah, I think that's a huge thing. And I want to mention real quick, you might find this interesting. Do you know how before it became official, because obviously Ace was gone for a few days, or at least everybody knew it was going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, so we obviously didn't, but I woke up the morning that it was announced that Ace has passed, and I seen a post from Ricky Rocket saying, I'm paraphrasing, but hope it's not true, hearing Ace Frehley died. And that's what started my day. This was probably at like 1 p.m. and the news didn't come out until what, 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. So for those 4 hours, I was scouring the internet every 10 minutes at work, trying to see what else. Because, there's been 20 times over the last 15 years where Ace Frehley died, Alice Cooper died, and none of it's true. It's just internet hoax. So,
Yeah,
especially us everybody knowing that he had taken a fall. Um, a few weeks prior and canceled the rest of the tour, like, you start thinking like maybe this is true. And then within an hour, everybody was speculating, and then it just hit. So, we heard about it through another musician. I mean, every single musician is in mourning right now, you know.
all right, so to try to give us a little bit of happiness to end this episode on, we're gonna real quickly go over what we feel are our top five favorite Ace Frehley songs. You know, we made the decision, to vocally, obviously, he
Right.
had a hand in a lot of songs as far as the writing aspect, but many of them he didn't sing, especially in Kiss. Um, he never really sang, I think, till Shock Me, right?
Right, correct. Yeah, he would normally give Peter his songs to sing, like Getaway. Obviously he wrote Shock Me, he wrote Cold Gin, but he would write songs like Strange Way and Getaway and say these ones are for Peter to sing because I don't want to sing them. And then Shock Me happened. Yeah.
Yep.
What's interesting though is you could hear his lead vocals on Parasite and Cold Gin in studio form by listening to the Origin records. Um, the two cover albums, and even Rock and Roll Hell, which is a song he really didn't even play on on Creatures, but he does a version of that which is so awesome. So yeah, check those records out if you guys haven't. But yeah, go ahead though.
All right. Yep. Let's go. You can go ahead first and list your number five. Just go five, four, three, two, one, and talk about each one real quick and what it
Cool.
means to you or why you like it better or whatever.
Cool. So we decided to go vocally with this, and Ace vocals have a huge place in my heart because a lot like Alice Cooper, he his voice was his voice. It wasn't anything crazy. He wasn't this crazy singer, but his voice was extremely unique. So there's so many, but here's a few of mine that I take special note with. One of them is Trouble Walking, the title track from the record, Trouble Walking, 92 or whatever. Great, or I'm sorry, 87. Great record. But the song, I like the gritty aspect of it. It's like he's trying to sing and hit notes, but it doesn't matter to him. So it's just coming out as this hard New York kind of guy, and you can really feel it there. The next one would be Speeding Back to My Baby from the '78 solo album. I love that like 60s, early 70s vibe. Obviously, just that's the thing with Ace when he for his vocals and when he writes songs lyrically, it's about what mood he's in and what he's writing about. Is he writing about his car accident? Is he writing about going to see chicks? And you can hear the giddiness and the little boy thing, the teenage boy coming out of Ace with a song like Speeding Back to My Baby. Another one that hits really big to me is the album closeout on Dynasty, Save Your Love. Probably my favorite Ace song, period. Um, Love that song. Great way to end the record. I mean, obviously the band knew that Ace, especially with the solo album coming out a year previous, when Dynasty came, Ace has three songs that he sings on Dynasty, you know.
Mhm.
So and that Hard Times also gets a mention from me for one of the best vocal songs. And then another one I just want to add real quick that sort of slipped through the cracks a little bit is Into the Void from Psycho Circus. Very classic Ace vocals. A lot of Kiss fans seem to not like that song, but I think it's classic Ace. It could have fit on any Kiss record that he was a part of. It could have fit on any Ace solo album that he wrote. So yeah, those would be my five that really hit a special place for me vocally from Ace.
Okay, and my five, I'll start it off from the 78 solo album. This song, I don't know, it's always stood out to me as one of my favorites off that album. And I'm talking about I'm in Need of Love. I just love the
Oh,
guitar on it and the vibe on the album. And yeah, for some reason, that song just has always rung in good for me. So that was my number five. My number four is a famous song that a lot of people know off of Dynasty. And we're talking about the Stones cover 2000 Man.
that almost made my initial five was 2000 Man. It's there somewhere, but not in the top five. But
Uh,
that's a great vocal song.
yeah, I like his version better than the Stones version.
Oh, me too.
And I thought that he did a great job on it. And I got a unmasked live concert on bootleg audio. I had it from way back in the day, and so much. It's even better on there. It's just great because that they played that song still on the Unmasked tour.
Right.
Because that was the album after Dynasty,
Mm.
and
What show do you have, Sydney? Probably
I
Sydney.
don't remember,
1980. That's a great show. Yeah.
but it was yeah, it's definitely good. All right, and number three is, the common song that everybody knows, everybody loves. Big song, of course, we're talking about New York Groove. And what else can be said about that one? You mentioned it already. So many places play that song, sports places, everything. It's just a huge song still to this day. And I would say that's his signature song, and when he plays concerts, he had to play it. There was no way around it. If he didn't play,
Even with Kiss, yeah,
yeah,
if he was
yeah.
in the band, they had to play it. Sure.
All right, and number two is another song that was written by the same guy who wrote New York Groove, and it's from the Frehley's Common album. We're talking the classic Into the Night.
Yeah, Russ Ballard.
Always loved that song. That was one of my favorite songs off of the Frehley's Common album. And yeah, Into the Night, he never really sang that much live. I don't know if it was just hard for him to do or what, but that was just a great song. Would have loved to seen him play it, when I got to see him the last couple times, but it was not to be. But Into the Night's definitely one of the highlights of his catalog to me. And of course, number one, Rock Soldiers. What
Yeah.
else can you say? That song, man, you know, you're sitting at an Ace Frehley concert, enjoying the show, and all of a sudden he starts playing Rock Soldiers, and it just brings everything to full life. Get you out of your seat if you are sitting, or if you are standing, it just makes you pump that fist in the air, whatever the case may be. It's just one of those songs that is a powerful song, and obviously it was written about that car crash that he had, um,
No.
back in,
It should have been the lead single off the record by far,
yeah,
and it wasn't, and it should have been.
yeah. But that,
Into the Night was.
yeah,
But
yeah.
and speaking of Into the Night, and you mentioned wanting to see him in the last few years,
Mhm.
you can YouTube it. It's not extremely pretty, but he did play Into the Night one or two times. The band talked him into it. They tried playing some songs off that record, but then it just didn't end up working properly, and they scrapped it. Um, Pretty much right before, not long before those Bears Den shows.
Mm,
So people were really, excited that he was bringing that song back. Into the Night's a great song.
yeah, no doubt. So, anything in closing, real quick before we sign off here?
Well, I will say, out of all the musicians who made statements, the one that really hit hard to me, which is surprising, is Tommy Thayer's. Saying how lucky he was, and Eddie Trunk got it wrong on his tribute show. Eddie Trunk said that he said it was an honor to fill your boots. But that's not what he said. He said it was an honor to walk in your boots. And, Tommy had it really, really hard over the last, 20 something years being in Kiss. And he that band stayed a band for a long time past their expiration date because of Tommy, and he got a lot of shit. And his statement really really was nice to see and fresh, and really had nothing to do with him and everything to do with, hey, I stepped in for you, and it was the hardest thing to do, and it was an honor. And that says a lot. So I think just I'm hoping a lot more eulogies and thoughts come out, and we can uh everybody can mourn it together, and see what's next. Maybe there'll be some Ace stuff coming out. I know Eddie Trunk's documentary was filmed where he interviewed Ace, like a year ago or less, maybe even 6 months ago, and that's going to come out. Ace's Origins 3, we're going to see that in some capacity, people are saying. So, because that record was almost done. Apparently, there was another new record being started. So, hopefully, we see more stuff pop up, and the Kennedy Center Honors is going to do a tribute to Ace, they said. So that should be interesting too. So I know Ace really, really was excited to um, be honored at the Kennedy Center. So unfortunately, he won't be able to be there. This was going to be the first time since the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame where those four guys were standing next to each other in the same room. Um, so it's unfortunate we can't see that, but hopefully we see some more. We see some more love from Gene and Paul and the band and the Kennedy Center Honors and this whole Kiss thing happening in Vegas. So hopefully it's done right, and there's tributes to him and stuff like that.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, thank you for doing this episode, and hopefully we won't have to do another one of these anytime soon.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, I hope not.
All right.
All
All right,
right.
Chris,
I'll see you
as
in a bit.
always,
All
thank
right.
you.
Have a good one, guys.